Hey guys, so today we're going to be discussing about the math portion of the HESI exam. These questions that I'm going to be going over are the exact same questions or are very similar questions that I got in my HESI exam, and most of these questions I got from the Nurshub HESI A2 practice test pack. If you haven't watched my last video on getting over 90% on the HESI in less than 1 week, I mentioned that Nurshub was one of the resources that really helped me ace my exam. So Nursehub's HESI A2 practice packs includes over 1900 exam-like questions that will help you study what you actually need to know. Let's say your school requires you to take anatomy. If you sign up today, you will have access on a question bank so you can focus on specific topics like the different systems of the body, general terminology, histology, etc. The practice test pack includes full-length time exams and you get unlimited retakes. Not to mention, after answering each question, you will get an explanation as to why and what is the correct answer. After that, it provides you a detailed school reports breakdown based on your performance so that you are able to effectively look at the parts that you didn't do as good. That way you know where to focus to quickly boost your score. Although in this video I'm only going to be focusing on the math portion of the HESI exam, Nurshub will provide you with practice tests on math, reading comprehension, vocabs, grammar, anatomy, biology, chemistry, and physics. So definitely check them out. Also, I will be linking Nursehub's HESI A2 practice test pack down below, as well as their free practice test. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So we're going to start with the basics, converting fractions. So mixed fractions to improper fractions. Here we have a mixed number 3.5, and to convert this, the easiest way is to multiply the denominator 2 by the whole number 3. We get the product 6, and then we add it to the numerator, which is 1, and so we get 7. Then we just copy the denominator. Then vice versa, improper fractions to mixed fractions. Here we have 7.5, and the key here is to divide. So 7 divided by 2 is 3, which will now be our whole number. The remainder will be our numerator, which is 1, and then we just copy the denominator. Moving on, converting fractions to decimals. We have the mixed number 3.5. Then we just copy the whole number 3, and then we divide the fraction. So 1 divided by 2 is a 0.5, and then we copy our quotient, and thus we have 3.5. Vice versa, decimals to fractions, we have our decimal 3.5, wherein 3 is a whole number and 5 is in the tens position. So since it's in the tens position, we multiply it by 10 over 10, and we get 5 over 10. Simplifying it, we now have 1/2. So the decimal 3.5 is equal to 3.5. Now we have decimals to percentage. To convert the decimal 0.29 into percentage, we should move the decimal places 2 places to the right. Thus 0.29 is equal to 29%. Then vice versa, percentage to decimals, we must move the decimal place 2 places to the left. Going deeper, we're going to discuss about the percentage formula, which is part over whole equals the percentage over 100. A problem I remember that showed up in my HESI was, what is 68% of 45? To answer this, we must obviously use the percentage formula. So the whole and the percentage is given, which means we have to look for the part. So our solution goes x over 45 equals 68 over 100. We cross multiply 45 and 68, and we get 3060. And x times 100 is 100x. We divide each side with 100 so we can cancel, and thus our x is equal to 30.6. So here's a problem that applies everything we discussed so far. So feel free to pause the video to answer the problem yourself. Also, this problem showed up in my exam, so make sure you know how to answer these types of problems. Sally eats 3/5 of her lunch. John eats 75%, so who ate more? To answer this problem, we must convert 3/5 into a percentage. So if you remember, the key here is to divide 3 by 5. We get 0.6, and to convert it into a percentage, we move the decimal place 2 places to the right. Therefore, Sally only ate 60% of her lunch, thus John ate more. Now moving on to adding fractions and subtracting fractions. For fractions that have the same denominator, no problem, just add the numerators and copy the denominator. However, for fractions that have different denominators, the key here is to look for its LCD, or the least common denominator. So we divide the LCD by the denominator multiplied to the numerator. 10 divided by 10 is 1, times 7 is 7 over 10. Then you can proceed to adding or subtracting. Another problem is 5 2/3 minus 3 4/5. Again, we look for the LCD, which is 15, and for mixed numbers, we copy the whole number and either add or minus according to the sign. So we have 5 and 10 over 15 minus 3 and 12 over 15. But then it's impossible because 12 is greater than 10. So what we do is borrow 1 from the whole number 5, making it 4, and we add 15 over 15 to the 10 over 15, and we get 4 and 25 over 15. So now we can subtract. To multiply fractions, you just simply multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators and simplify if necessary. To multiply mixed fractions, you must convert it into an improper fraction first. Also, I meant to put improper fractions and not irregular fractions. And then proceed on multiplying the numerators and the denominators. Convert the answer if necessary. To divide fractions, you must invert the divisor. So 3/8 here becomes 8 over 3. And simply proceed to multiply the numerators and denominators. Expect to have a lot of ratio and proportion problems in your exam. So here we have 5 over 12 is equal to 25 over 60, which is written as 5 is to 12, 25 is to 60. Now we try to solve for x in a ratio and proportion problem. So first we need to write down 12 over x is equal to 64 over 16. And then we cross multiply 12 and 16, and we get 192. And x times 64, we get 64x. Then we divide both sides by 64, and x is now equal to 3. It's very, very important to memorize the metric conversion, so take a moment to screenshot this. Here's the one for length. Also, I added some problem that also showed up in my HESI, so feel free to answer that yourself or answer it with me. And here's the one for mass or weight. So for this problem, we'll start with the 8 ounce and convert it to pounds. And once we have that, we can now convert the pounds to kilograms. Here's the one for volume. Okay, so first, in order to convert it into ounce, we need to figure out how many cups in a pint and then how many ounces in a cup. Definitely look into King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. It makes metric conversion really easy and really fast to do. So here we have our problem. How many DAM in 1000 cm? So first we locate where cm is, which is the given, and then locate where DAM is, which is what is asked in the problem. We then count how many places from the cm to DAM. We get 3 places to the left, which means we move 3 decimal places to the left and we get 1 DAM. Into Gallon Man, where King Gallon has 4 queens and each queen has 2 princesses and each princess has 2 cats. So 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts and 1 quart is equal to 2 pints and a pint is equal to 2. Also make sure to know your Roman numerals because some problems you have to identify what the value of the Roman numeral is. Here is a really simple way to remember the Roman numerals. Also, know your military time. If it's in the standard time, add 1200 to convert it to military time. And if it's in military time to standard time, then subtract 1200 from it. I recommend that you practice answering word problems so you get a feel of what to expect. These questions showed up in my exam and it might show up in yours too. So feel free to pause anytime in the video so you can answer them yourself and check for solutions afterwards. Alright, so these are the topics that I focused on that got me a 96% on my HESI math portion of the exam. Thank you to Nurshub for sponsoring this video and thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would highly appreciate it and I will see you guys next time. Bye!